Parapara Umo in New Zealand. Hope you're having a super fantastic sparkling day. Sorry, my voice is definitely on its way out, but hopefully it'll hang around for a podcast. Welcome to Porchlight Letters podcast number 2320, Stories That Live On. So today is my day off. It's Sunday in the States, Monday here. And excuse me, this is the worst my voice has been. And so Mum and Dad were going to go and do Meals on Wheels this morning. I thought, I want to go to the library. I've got some things to do. I need to go to the library. There's some stuff I need to research and that sort of thing. So they dropped me off at the library, or they dropped me off near the library, and I walked to the library and then went inside, found a couple of books. And then I thought, hang on, the mall is across the road. The big Coastlands Mall is just across the road from the library. Let's walk over there and go and have a browse around there. So I went over there, and as soon as I walked in, I could hear this beautiful music coming, and so I followed it. And in the center of the mall, where they had the big Santa chair set up, there was all these school kids sitting on the floor singing. It was beautiful. They were all elementary age kids. And they were singing, and Santa's standing there in the center in front of them, with his throne behind him, and there were all these school teachers were standing alongside him as well. And these kids were singing Christmas songs, and it was absolutely magical. The harmonizing from just school kids, amazing. I don't know how many kids were there. There was a lot. There was massive kids just sitting there, but it was beautiful. So I stopped and listened for a bit. And then I went back to one of the bookstores called Whitcoulls, which is one of the main bookstores here in New Zealand. And I had a couple of things I needed to get, which I got from there, and that was fine. But then they had these really cute, I should have taken a picture, these really cute teddy bears that were sitting on the counter, and they stood about this high. And I said, what's with the teddy bears? They go, oh, that's Whitcoulls' Christmas bear for this year. And I said, they're really cute. I said, they're so soft and snuggly. And she says, yeah, they're $20 each unless you spend over $35. Then you get it for $10. Then you have the option of taking it with you. Or she says, we support, or we can donate it on your behalf to Birthright, which is an organization, a charity organization, and foster kids. And I'm like, get me one of those in my bag. Put one of those into that box. And so they did. I thought for $10, make some kids Christmas with a beautiful cuddly teddy bear. I'm on that. Then I went back to the library and sat there and waited till Mum and Dad were done with Meals on Wheels, and just sat there and read and had a blast. I haven't sat in the library in a very long time. But the two books I got, there's this one here, Clanlands. This is based on a TV series that, and if you don't recognize the guys, they're from Outlanders. This book is based on a trip they did to New Zealand, and toured around New Zealand doing all sorts of different bits and bobs and things. And I never saw the New Zealand version of the TV series. I'm just trying to see if I can find some good pictures for you. They had like a camper van. I'm trying to see if I can find their camper van that they drove around in, and they met up with different people, learned about the New Zealand culture, the Maori culture, some of the other things that we have, the foods, the wines, that sort of stuff. Yeah, we're not going to talk about that one. And I can't remember when they were here. I don't know if this is when they did this. Yeah, so I'm really looking forward to reading this, because I did not get to see the TV. The TV series was on Stars, and I had a 90-day subscription, and where I got to watch the one that they did of Scotland, where they took you around Scotland. I did not get to see Clanlands. It came on after my subscription ended, because I didn't really want to pay the full price after the 90 days. But the other book I picked up, and I was looking in the New Zealand history section, and I came across this, and this woman, Renee Hollis, in 2000, I'm going to read what's on the back. In 2017, Renee Hollis interviewed 120 people over the age of 100, living in every region of New Zealand. Her goal in compiling this book was to preserve New Zealand history by sharing the stories and memoirs of our eldest citizens. In this collection of interviews, we meet World War II veterans, opera singers, farmers, politician, a racing car driver, a nun, a freedom fighter with Gandhi, and even a member of the Hip Operation crew, the oldest hip-hop group in the world. These are people who have witnessed momentous global events and technology innovations that have changed our world. They have gone from horse and cart to Skyping their grandchildren. From the everyday to the extraordinary, these are the stories of the people who have lived through history and whose message of resilience and making the best of things has so much to offer generations that followed them. This is the book here. It's called Keepers of History. Now, don't worry about these tabs. I put them in there because there's a special reason I put them in there. So, oh, come on. Turn the page. There we go. So this book came out in 2019. These are the contents with all, you can see the years. They went from those born 1907, 1911, 1912, 1913, 1914, 1915, 1916, and 1917. Oh, sorry, you can't see what I'm pointing at. And those are the people under each of the names. Then she has, where to go? It's in here. There it is. These are the places everybody's from. So she's got a map there and the key index down here with the people's names, where they are, where they lived on the map. North Island, South Island. So you can see she got a variety. But then she does this. For every year that she does this intro page for every year to say what happened in that year, who was born in that year, that sort of thing. So like for sorry, my phone stand's not working. There we go. So for 1907, for example, she's got the Prime Minister of New Zealand was Joseph Ward. Maria Montessori opens her first Montessori school in Rome on the 6th of January, 1907. Psychiatrist Sigmund Freud and Carl Jung meet for the first time in Vienna on the 27th of February. This is all 1907. Sir Robert Baldwin Baden-Powell forms Boy Scouts in England on the 29th of July. Harry Houdini escapes from chains underwater in 57 seconds at Aquatic Park on the 26th of August. Rudyard Kipling receives the Nobel Prize for Literature, the first English language writer to do so on the 10th of December. Albert Einstein begins to apply the laws of gravity to his theory of relativity. People born in 1907 was Katharine Hepburn on the 12th of May, an actress. Herge or Georges Prosper Remy on the 22nd of May, who was a cartoonist. Sir Laurence Olivier on the 22nd of May, he was an actor. And John Wayne on the 26th. Sorry, Laurence Olivier was the 22nd. Did I say that? John Wayne, the 26th of May, he was an actor. So that's 1907. So now let's fast forward to 1911. So this was kind of interesting because 1911, where you'll see what happens. This one here, Madeline Anderson, who was born in 1907. Her quote at the end says, "I believe in the worth of positive relationships, and I think that people should be nice to each other. They should be harmonious." And she passed away on the 19th of June 2018, before this book was published. And then she also said, "I think my parents would be quite pleased that I've reached this milestone. They were quite fond of me. I think they would be a bit surprised." I love that. So you can see these thoughts, and I've had a quick glance through this. That's why I was like getting on. I'm sorry. In 1911, so I'm up to 1911, so 114 years ago. On January 1st, compulsory military training comes into effect in Australia. On the 5th of February, the first officially recorded powered airplane flight in New Zealand, the Walsh brothers Howard Wright biplane in Manurewa takes its first flight in Glenora Park, Papakura in Auckland. On the 6th of May, 1910, the head of state in New Zealand is King George V. King Edward VII died on the 6th of May, and that's when King George V came into power. King George V was the father of... King Edward VII died on 6th of May. King George V, no, that was King George VI. Scratch that. The British open liner Titanic is launched at 12:15 p.m. on the 31st of May, 1911, in the presence of 100,000 onlookers. Now, you're going to say, hang on, the Titanic didn't sail to 1912, and you are correct. But the boat was launched, and quite often they will launch the boats because they've got to do testing to make sure that they're all okay, that they're seaworthy, that they're not leaking anywhere. So they do all the building on land, and then they launch the ships, and do all their water testing and everything else before, and then they continue to finish the inside of the ship and everything else before it actually does its maiden voyage. So the maiden voyage was done in 1912. but it was actually officially launched on the 31st of May, 1911. On the 21st of August, 1911, the Mona Lisa is stolen from the Louvre by Vincenzo Peruga. I'm going to screw up names. It was recovered in 1913. Italy declares war on the Ottoman Empire, which is in Turkey, on the 29th of September, and Marie Curie receives her second Nobel Prize on the 31st of December. And I will tell you what was interesting going back through these pages. It was sort of like, oh, and these are people that you have heard of, that you have seen on screen in the news and all of this when they're talking about who was born on these days. And I'm like, oh, I didn't realize they were born back then. I thought they were born a little later, and sometimes it's sort of like, oh, I never really thought about when they were born. So Ronald Reagan was born on the 6th of February, 1911, as US president and an actor. Tennessee Williams was born the 26th of March, who was a playwright, and actress Ginger Rogers was born on the 16th of July. So you can see how and what I love is that there's all these little bits of history. Who was this one? In 1912, Sun Yat-sen forms the Republic of China on the 1st of January, 1912. It's a Long Way to Tipperary, written by Jack Judge and Harry H. Williams, was released on the 30th of January. This song became popular among soldiers during World War I. I remember singing that song at school. Captain Robert Falcon Scott, CVO RN, dies on the ill-fated Terra Nova expedition in Antarctica on the 29th of March. The Titanic sinks on its maiden voyage, and more than 1,500 passengers are killed on the 15th of April. 30th of May, Wilbur Wright, US aviation pioneer, dies of typhoid fever, aged 45. William Massey becomes the Prime Minister of New Zealand on the 10th of July. Malcolm Champion becomes the first New Zealand cylinder to win an Olympic gold medal on the 12th of July in 1912. Born in 1912 was on the 20th of February was Pierre Boulez, who was a French author. Sir Jack Marshall, GBE, CHED, PC, I can't remember what all those are, but the GB is to do with Great Britain Empire or something. Was born on the 5th of March. He was a politician and the 28th Prime Minister of New Zealand. Julia Child, I did not realize she was born in 1912. Was born on the 15th of August, and she was a chef and television personality. And Jean Kelly was born on the 23rd of August. I'm just like, wow. What do we got here? 1913. The New York Armory Show produces Picasso, Matisse, and Duchamp to the American public on the 17th of February, 1913. The Women's Suffrage Parade of 1913 takes place in Washington, D.C., led by Inez Milholland on horseback on the 3rd of March. Still took a few years before the women were given the vote in the US. Woodrow Wilson becomes the 28th president of US president on the 4th of March. The Great Strike of 1913, involving 16,000 unionists around New Zealand, begins on the 18th of October. George Bernard Shaw's Andronicus. It's a play he wrote. Androcles and the Lion, and I probably totally mispronounced that, premieres on London on the 1st of September, and I can hear you all laughing out there. President Woodrow Wilson says that the US will never attack another country on the 27th of October, 1913. People born in 1913 was Rosa Parks on the 4th of February. She was a civil rights leader. Muddy Waters on the 4th of April, the blues musician. No, that was somebody different. Jesse Owens on the 12th of September, track and field. See, I didn't realize he was that old. Vivian Lee, the 5th of November, was an actress. So you keep woken up with things. But the cool part I like about this is that when they put this in there, it gives you perspective of what was going on at the time when these people were born. In 1914, the population of New Zealand is approximately 1.1 billion. 1.1 million. And it was on the 6th of February, 1840, when the Europeans signed the Treaty of Waitangi with the Maoris. And that's when we started colonizing New Zealand at that point. But we didn't reach 1.1 million until 1914. It took a while. Charlie Chaplin makes his film debut in the comedy Making a Living on the 2nd of February. World War I, also known as the First War, the Great War, or the War to End All Wars, begins on the 28th of July, 1914. The Imperial Transatlantic Expedition from 1914 to 17, also known as the Endurance Expedition. Great book. If you have not read the Endurance Expedition, You got to read that. It's a phenomenal book. Led by Sir Ernest Shackleton, begins on the 8th of August. The Huntley coal mine disaster, where 43 people died on the 12th of September. 8,427 troops left New Zealand for Europe in October. People born then: Marguerite Duras, 4th of April, was a writer and lawyer. Tenzing Norgay, 29th of May, was a mountaineer. If you don't recognize that name, he was the Sherpa that was with Sir Edmund Hillary when they conquered Everest in 1953. Dylan Thomas, on the 27th of October, was a poet. Joe DiMaggio was born on the 25th of November, American baseball star. I didn't realize he was born then. You hear a lot of these names and people talking about them, but unless you go and look up, they kind of make them sound like they are regular people that just lived out, not just regular people, that they're still alive. They don't tell you, they might say they when they passed away, but they may not tell you when they were born. So there's different things. So you don't think they're that old. So in 1915, the first contingent of 500 Maori soldiers sailed for Egypt aboard SSS Wairamu on the 14th of February. New Zealand troops participated in the landings of Gallipoli on the 25th of April. That's known as Anzac Day in New Zealand, Australian New Zealand Army Corps. And that's when they invaded Gallipoli, 25th of April, 1915. And it's a phenomenal story. If you watch the movie Gallipoli, it's told more from the Australians' perspective, but it was both Australian New Zealand Army Corps that were there. And those guys basically wrote the history for what was going to happen in New Zealand, Australia following on. There's a lot of stuff that went on there that brought these guys back, changed, and how they contributed to everything that was done in Australia and New Zealand after that. Canadian soldier John McCrae writes the poem In Flanders Field on the 3rd of May. Becomes very important because it is often quoted on the 25th of April when we honor those commemorate Anzac Day. Baseball player Babe Ruth hits his first career home run for the Boston Red Sox on the 6th of May, 1915. 80 New Zealand nurses sail on the hospital ship SSS Mahino in July. And if you ever get to Te Papa and do the Gallipoli exhibit, you will hear about these nurses in there. And you come across this amazing model of this. You hear this one nurse's story, how she kept writing to her brother, and her letters were returned with killed in action written on the bundle of letters she sent her brother were returned to her with killed in action written across the top. Very, very sad story, but one that lives on. The 1 millionth Ford car rolls off the assembly line in Detroit, Michigan on the 10th of December. Final withdrawal of all troops from Anzac Cove is the 20th of December. Evacuation of Gallipoli took place the 15th to the 20th of December. As you're going through the Gallipoli exhibition in Te Papa, you get to see and hear a lot of the stories and everything else, but you get to hear the ingenious way of how they left so the enemy didn't know that they were leaving. They had rifles set up to fire, and they all walked out without their boots on, so they wouldn't make any noise. People born in 1915, Billie Holiday on the 7th, a jazz singer, 7th of April. Arthur Miller, playwright, on the 17th of October. Edith Piaf on the 9th of December, my birthday, singer, so I didn't know that one. Frank Sinatra, 12th of December. I didn't realize he was a December baby either. We've got 2 more to do. 1916, population is 1,099,389. In the North Island, there are 651,072, and in the South Island, we have 448,317. Monet paints his Water Lilies series in 1916. New Zealand troops transfer from the Western Front. Conscription is introduced in New Zealand on the 10th of June. Battle of Somme begins on 1st of July. The New Zealand Labour Party is formed on the 7th of July. We have two major parties in New Zealand, National and Labour. There are some other minor parties and they kind of collaborate. Selwyn Toogood, who was a radio and television presenter in New Zealand, was a very well-known one, was born on the 4th of April. Ferruccio Lamborghini, 28th of April. That's when he was born. An Italian industrialist and entrepreneur. Roald Dahl was born on the 13th of September. He's an author. And my birthday buddy, who has since passed away, Kirk Douglas, was born on the 9th of December, and he was an actor. He was one of my birthday buddies. 1917, this is the last one. First Battle of Gaza in the first attempt by the Egyptian Expeditionary Force to invade the south of Palestine during the Sinai and Palestine campaign of World War I happened on the 26th of March 1917. The United States declared war on Germany and enters World War I on the 6th of April. The Battle of Passchendaele, 3,700 New Zealanders were killed. Dutch dancer Mata Hari is executed by firing squad for spying for Germany during World War I in Vincennes near Paris on the 15th of October. 6 o'clock closing of hotel bars is introduced in New Zealand as a wartime measure. That was done in December. People born in 1917 was Vera Lynn, the 20th of March, and singer and actress. Ella Fitzgerald was born on the 25th of April 1917, jazz singer. John F. Kennedy was born on the 29th of May 1917, 35th US president. Dean Martin, one of the Rat Pack. I love the Rat Pack. 7th of June, actor and singer. And Dizzy Gillespie, a musician, was born on the 21st of October 1917. Oh, that's a good one. Who said this? Jaram and Ganga Ravji. Who are they? Hang on, I've got to go back here. Sound like they're twins. But they've got a really good saying here. Oh no, they're actually brothers who were born. Oh, sorry, they're actually a married couple. Jaram and Ganga are a married couple who are both over the age of 100. They were both born in 1916. But one of them says, never judge people. Everyone is different. We all make mistakes. You need to forgive and forget and move on with life. Love that. And then Jerome says, just be good to one another. There's no need to be any other way. Totally agree. So these are just, like I said, these are stories. In this book of these centurions, of their life stories. So my questions for you today all relate to this. Whose stories from your own family or community would you love to record for future generations? Number 2, what's one memory or life lesson an older relative has shared that still sticks with you? Number 3, if you were to write a chapter of your own life for someone to discover 100 years from now, what would you include? There's a lot. Number 4, why do you think we often overlook the voices of our elders when preserving history? And we've actually got a 5th question for you today. What's one step you could take this month to begin capturing a family member's or community's elders' story? There's some great questions there. I am so looking forward to reading this book and their stories. And I said to my dad, because he told me it was a great book. Apparently they've read it. But he was saying, oh, that's a really great book. I said, well, I was on the Ketchikan website for Alaska, Ketchikan, Alaska, on their website for the visitor center, and they have all these little mini movies on there. They range from 30 minutes to 50 minutes. And there was this thing, I said, they did these outtakes, and I said, there was this woman there, she goes, I'm 102, and there are buildings here that are younger than me, and they call them historic. And with that, we're out of here. Go out, have a super fantastic sparkling evening. We'll catch you guys back here tomorrow evening at 6 p.m. Pacific. Hey, konera.